It's getting harder and harder to buy a home. Home prices are up, interest rates are up, and you often have to make multiple offers on a home before you get your offer accepted. And when you do get it accepted, you have to pay more than asking for the home. So it's super important that when you do buy a home, you avoid these pitfalls that could turn your dream into a nightmare. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 5 biggest mistakes that I see first-time home buyers making, and I'm gonna give you some tips on how to avoid them. So let's jump into it. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Ben Sun. Welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome for the first time. I don't just cover horrible home buying mistakes. I also cover things like mortgages, personal finance, investing, and real estate. So if that interests you, please hit that big red subscribe button. So mistake number 1, and it's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, and that's buying too much home. Now that doesn't just mean buying or spending too much on the home itself. That can also mean spending most of your savings or all of your savings to get into the home. A lot of people underestimate the cost of what it's going to take to get into the home and make the home your own. So a lot of people will put all the money they have down to buy a home on things like down payment and closing costs, but they don't have any money for like moving costs or buying new furniture or new painting or making the home your own. And then I talk to them later and they're struggling because they bought too much home on the other end, and that is spending too much of their income per month on the house payment. So they spent all of their money to get into the home, and then they spend too much of their monthly income towards the house payment, to where they can't make the upgrades that they want, or they can't buy the things that they need to decorate the home or to live a comfortable life in the home, and so they end up disliking the home. I hear this happening all of the time. So here are a couple tips that you can use to make sure that you're getting the home that you want and a home that you can afford comfortably. So as a general rule, don't spend over 25 to 35% of your take-home pay. That's after you pay taxes. It's 25 to 35% of that income towards a mortgage. Now, some people say that it should be on a 15-year fixed. Some people say it should be on a 30-year fixed. You can do whatever's comfortable for you. Obviously, a 30-year fix would mean that you could afford more home. But if you stick to the 25 to 35% rule, that means that you're not going to be what's called house poor. I see fairly often where people, especially couples, will spend 40 to 50% of their pre-tax income, so before they pay taxes, on a home. And that basically guarantees that if one person loses their job, you're not going to be able to afford the mortgage payment. It also guarantees that you're not going to be able to save for things like retirement or emergency funds or car repairs or repairs on the home. So you're effectively putting yourself in a situation where if anything goes wrong, you're going to end up being house poor. So if you stick to the 25 to 35% of your take-home pay, that's going to guarantee that you have room in your budget and that you can comfortably afford the home. So as far as spending too much of your savings to get into the home, for first-time home buyers, I typically recommend that you spend as little as possible. So don't put the 20% down. What I typically recommend is like a 3 or 5%. This is going to allow you some room to afford the unforeseeable costs. As a first-time home buyer, you're not going to know the things that you need to spend money on, or you're not going to know all the cost of getting into the home. So it's important that you have some money, or you've held some money back, not your emergency fund, but that you have some money in savings that you can, again, do repairs, make the home your own and make it livable for you. And sometimes that might mean buying less home because you don't have the money in your savings, or you don't have the money in an account for you to be able to afford the down payment, closing costs, and any unforeseeable moving costs. And keep in mind, if you have a bunch of money that you didn't put down, you can always put that down later on and do what's called a re-amortization, meaning that you can put a larger chunk down. Let's say you get into the home, you didn't put 20% down, but you have it. You do whatever you want to do, like you get furniture and paintings and all that. And you realize, hey, I have some extra money, I want to throw it down on the house. You can do that. It's no extra cost. And then you can do what's called a re-amortization, meaning that they're going to make your payment the same as they would have if you would have put the 20% down to begin with. A lot of people don't understand that you can do that, but it's a good way to make sure that you are getting into the home and that you have enough money to cover everything that you need. Mistake number 2, and I see this cropping up more and more now than I have in the past, and that is not getting a home inspection. I'm talking to more and more buyers that are either not wanting to spend the $400 for a home inspection, or they're being dissuaded either by a realtor or a seller or something like that to not get the home inspection because it might delay the closing, or the seller's not willing to accept an offer if there has to be a home inspection on there. Don't do this. Home inspections aren't required to get a mortgage. A lender will require an appraisal, but not a home inspection. And so it's something that can be waived. If you're an experienced home buyer, or you have people in your family that are super experienced at home buying and they know what to look for, then you cannot spend the $400 and get a home inspection. But if you're a first-time home buyer, it's super critical that you know what you're getting into when buying a home. As I said a second ago, a lender is going to require an appraisal, but that's going to tell you the value of the home and like the big obvious repairs that might need to be done. Because what they're looking for is the home safe, and is the home livable, and what's the home worth? A home inspection is going to tell you some of the smaller stuff. It's going to be much more detailed and in-depth than an appraisal will be. A good home inspector isn't just going to tell you the issues of the home right now. They're also able to look out and see what potential issues might arise, or what potential repairs might need to be made in the future. Like, how long do you have left on your roof, or water heater or furnace? Are there any potential structural issues, or might there be in the future based on what they're seeing now? Look, a home inspector is not going to be able to predict the future, and they're not magic workers. But what they are people who have seen thousands of homes, and they can give you a good opinion on what some potential roadblocks, or what some expensive things coming up down the road are going to be associated with this home, and it gives you more information as to whether or not this is the home for you. Because the last thing that you want to do is make mistake number one: you bought too much home and you spent too much of your money on the home, and then two, you didn't get a home inspection, and so now you own a home that has potential repairs and you don't have the money to fix it. Avoiding these ahead of time is going to be the safest bet. Mistake number three is not understanding the loan program that you're getting, or not understanding the programs that might be available to you. Most people believe that you have to do a conventional loan and you have to put 20% down. This isn't true. There are a ton of other loan programs, and more importantly, there may be other down payment assistance programs. Check out my videos somewhere up there. I tell you how to find down payment assistance programs that might be available in your area. But there are a ton of these other programs that might allow you to put less down or have a lower interest rate, and that's going to keep more money in your pocket. Putting 20% down on a conventional mortgage is perfectly fine, and typically it's recommended because you have a lower mortgage and you don't have to pay PMI. But as a first-time home buyer, sometimes it's better to have that money in your pocket for things that you don't foresee coming. And as a first-time home buyer, there are usually more loan programs and down payment assistance programs available to you that if you don't know about them and you don't know to ask about them, then they're not going to be offered to you. Which brings me to my next mistake, and that is not shopping around enough. I use the rule of threes here, meaning talk to 3 different lenders, 3 different realtors, 3 different home inspectors. Basically what you're looking for, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, is a few people in your corner that can help you understand the process. They're gonna talk to you and help you figure out what your goals are and how you can meet those. If you find people who will take the time and sit down with you and talk through what your goals or what your expectations are, they're going to be able to answer questions that you didn't know you had yet. They're going to be able to walk you through a loan program, say if they're a lender, that you didn't know was available to you, or they're going to be able to get you down payment assistance that you didn't know that you had to ask for. You want someone who's going to work with you and talk to you and not just treat you like you're another number and a commission check. Mistake number 5, and most of these other mistakes all stem from this one, and that is being in too much of a hurry and not being willing to back out of the deal should something go wrong. Buying a home can be extremely stressful and expensive, and it can be an emotional process. The last thing that you want to do is buy a home that you can't afford, or buy one that you end up not liking a couple months later because you were too much in a hurry and you didn't follow your gut. I know in this market, you have to move quickly, and if you find something that you like, you have to make an offer on it right now. But it's also important to take some time, and again, this is where we go back to having a realtor in your corner that understands that this is what you're doing, but take some time and find out what you actually like. Looking at different homes, you can look at a nice home and you're gonna love it right then, but you're not gonna realize, or you're gonna get your emotions tied up and you're not gonna realize that you actually don't like the home, or you don't like the area, or you don't like the layout of the home. So it's important to look at a bunch of different homes, find out what you actually like, not just on the aesthetics, but the layout, what you actually like about the home, and then find something in your price range that you can comfortably afford. If you're in too much of a hurry because it's a hot market and you know you have to make an offer right away, it's setting yourself up to make a huge mistake in buying the house. Let me know in the comments down below what your biggest concern with buying a home right now is. And if you got value out of this video, please check out the other videos on my channel and hit that big red subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.